Don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 48 of the Take One podcast. As always, I am your host, Mike, and I am here with Marie and Kevin. And this is awesome to be here again because this is our second time together in just a few days. So I'm very blessed that y'all were able and thankful that y'all were able to come onto the podcast again. How are y'all doing tonight? Either one.
I was just gonna say I'm hurting from eating all that food. I was telling Marie earlier, I feel hungover. The older you get, whenever you eat carbs and like sugars, all that bad stuff. I woke up, I was like, oh my God, no more food for 2 days. So I'm like feeling it.
Oh yeah, me too, dude. I feel very bloated. My stomach hurts.
Yeah, same.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Maria had deviled eggs. You missed out.
Me too.
You missed out.
Did you eat them in my honor?
I did. I was like, wow, Marie would appreciate this.
Yeah, I would. You know what that deviled egg is to me and to you guys? Terrifier 2 in egg form.
That's a good call.
Okay.
Sorry about my cough. I'm going to have random coughs here and there, and I apologize.
No, it's fine. We were talking about this before we came on. I have been sick for the past couple of days. I can't stop sniffling. I'm going to be muting the microphone all throughout the show because I don't want people to be annoyed by every 5 minutes or 5 seconds, I should say. So it's been bad. It's been bad. But Thanksgiving was great. I'm glad your Thanksgiving was great, Kev. Marie, obviously you celebrate Thanksgiving back in October. Is that before Halloween, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the first or second Sunday I don't know what it is. I just know the food's there and I eat it and I feel bloated and awful after too. But it's worth it.
Okay. We talked about this a little bit on the Exorcist watch along, but I have to know, what is your guys' favorite dish at Thanksgiving? It's a good one.
So I'll let Marie go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit because this is my favorite part. So the turkey and mashed potatoes and the gravy, and my mom and my auntie make the best gravy ever. They take like the drippings and everything from the turkey, but my family makes something called pork dressing, which is like basically a pork meatloaf, and they take the burnt drippings from that and they put that in the gravy too. And it's like the best gravy you'll ever try. So what I like doing is I take a fork of mashed potatoes and turkey and the pork meatloaf thing and stuffing and gravy, and I take a fork of everything on one. Oh, that's the best. That
Love
is it's a hug. It's like a hug, and I just love it. Oof.
I feel my blood pressure going up just hearing that. I'm getting nervous just thinking about food again.
That's a good
does
one,
sound
though.
good,
That
though.
sounds good.
That does sound good. For me, I mean, it's always stuffing or dressing. I like to make like sandwiches with my leftovers. I like toast the bread, put like some slices of turkey on there, some dressing, cream cheese, cranberry sauce. Fuck, man, it hits the spot. Yeah, it's good.
That's a hell of a combination. So
it's good.
Marie dropped a bomb on the watch along saying that she did not like deviled eggs. I'm about to drop a bomb. I do not like dressing or stuffing.
I thought he was about to switch it up and say he didn't like deviled eggs. Like he was lying the whole time.
Oh, no. I've never been a stuffing type of person. Same with cranberry sauce, dude. I've just never been that person. But I love having leftovers. My favorite thing to do is to take the slices of turkey and put them on a sandwich the next day. Like, those are banging. That's what I did today.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal. Toast the bread a little bit, put the slices of turkey on the bread, a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of mayo. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
That is good. I love sandwiches. I'm a sandwich guy. And then if we're talking dessert, my mom makes this dessert called ooey gooey butter pumpkin cake. It's got like a ton of butter and pumpkin and cream cheese, and it is amazing. You put like a big scoop of Cool Whip on it. It's amazing.
Mm.
Can't beat it.
Ooey gooey. Oh god,
Yes.
sounds so good already. You had me at ooey gooey.
It's a
Yeah.
It's a Paula Deen recipe. If anyone knows who that is, she is a Southern belle that is well known in the kitchen, and so it's got tons of bad stuff in it for you, but it's so good.
So, one last thing on Thanksgiving food. I am not a sweet potato type of person. Like, it's just never been my thing. But I had sweet potato casserole for the first time this weekend,
What?
and it was amazing. Like,
Did it have the marshmallows on top?
no, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. It was brought to me. It was like, you got to try this. And I'm like, I'm not going to like it. I'm not a fan. And I took the bite and I was like, this is where I admit where I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so fucking good.
Yeah. Sweet
What
potato
is
pie,
it?
cranberry, or not cranberry, candied yams. I love sweet potatoes.
What is, I wish I could answer. I don't know. It's just really good. Like,
I don't know either.
sweet potato casserole. I don't know what's in it. It's just amazing. And it tastes sweet, obviously. But I've just never been like a sweet potato person. Like, I don't like sweet potato fries. I'm just never been so I was like, I'm not gonna like that. And yeah, I tried something new and I liked it. So it was
Hell
good.
yeah.
It was good.
I like sweet potatoes, but I've never had like the sweet potato pie type thing. That's not a thing here really in Canada. Like I love sweet potatoes, but I usually eat it like in a savory way, not so much a dessert way. I'm intrigued.
Fair. I think dessert, I had the classic apple pie with vanilla ice cream.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lord.
Yes. Good Lord.
I know. I got a slice left downstairs. I might have to go get me some after the podcast.
Don't get.
So obviously we're here to talk Terrifier 2. Marie watched it for the first time how long ago?
That was on Saturday night, last Saturday. So just under a week ago. I think it was Saturday, not Friday.
So we kind of wasted no time getting on here, and there was a reason for that. And we're gonna jump into that. But first, I did want to talk about we talked a little bit about it or brought it up on the could y'all hear my dog?
Yeah. I heard something.
A little bit.
Did you? We talked about it a little bit on the watch along, and that was the Melissa Barrera news of her getting fired from the Scream 7, which is supposedly was supposed to go into production like ASAP, especially with all the strikes coming up and being lifted. But supposedly they'll be scratching that the storyline and coming up with something pretty brand new. As you know, people of the Scream franchise, she was the main character in the past 2 films. I've made it known that I was not a big fan of hers, especially in Scream 5. I just thought that her character, along with pretty much everybody's character in Scream 5, was pretty trash. But I thought she definitely made up for it in Scream 6. And it sucks because, keeping it movie based wise, I guess my initial reaction is it sucks because I did grow to like her character in the last movie. And it sucks even more because I'm just not attached to any of these characters, really. Jenna Ortega is no longer doing the movie as well. Supposedly that's because of her Wednesday shooting and it's just the scheduling not working, but who knows? The timing of it is very suspicious. But the fact that those two, who pretty much are the main 2, are not coming back for Scream 7, honestly, I'm just not interested in the Scream 7. Like, just leave it. Like, that's kind of my initial reaction and thoughts. Like, this is a spyglass decision. I know the director came out and said that he was heartbroken and that this was not his decision. So I don't know where they can go now, like with the storyline, especially if the director's hearts are not in it. Like, what are you going to do now? Like, now you got a whole nother curveball to do. Me personally, I think you just don't even do another movie. I know they probably will, but Kevin, what are your initial reaction like from the news in general from Melissa and then obviously Jenna?
Well, that is a loaded question because I have a lot to say about the direction of the Scream franchise and just how I feel about that franchise as a whole, because I love that franchise so much. It was the first. I've said it many times. Scream's the first horror movie I ever saw. So it's a part of me. I'm very protective and passionate about those stories and those characters in that franchise. Love the first three. And to me, the movie, that franchise ends with 3. I've grown to appreciate 4. I've really warmed up to it. But it still feels really adolescent and uncharacteristic of Scream in a sense. I know that's kind of a hot take because there's a lot of love for Scream 4. I don't love these newer Scream movies. They just feel very surface level, shiny, glossy, Fast and Furious esque to me, and they just never felt like Scream. Even though Scream 6, like the first half, I was really digging. It was fun. It was way more entertaining than Scream 5. I just the second half of that movie, they just doubled down on the same issues I had with Scream 5, and so it just fell apart for me. And they just feel so rushed and mishandled, in my opinion. So hearing the news about Melissa Barrera getting fired, Jenna Ortega not coming back, to me, I think you need to just leave it alone for a few years. It feels like the franchise is dead right now. There's been talks about Nev Campbell possibly being, brought back along with Patrick Dempsey, and I
Do you,
hope that's
do you think she would
that's
come
not the
back?
case. I hope not.
Because
One,
I asked that because she's like very vocal into about stuff like that. We're not going to jump into like the details and like everything on the podcast. But she's just, Nev seems like very vocal, and like I feel like she would support Melissa. Maybe not on the same views. I don't know. I can't speak for her, but like, you know what I mean? Like Nev is very open, and she was right there, like marching during the strike, and she just seems very open and very supportive in general of like actors and actresses. So I don't know even if they like threw the bag at her if she would come back, but that's just my gut feeling.
mhm. I hope she doesn't come back. I hope Nev, as much as I love Sydney Prescott, I don't want to see her in another Scream movie. I just don't think she'll be handled correctly, and it's just so tainted now. It just doesn't feel like Scream. And so, one, I hope she doesn't come back because of the way she was mishandled and mistreated, um, with not paying her what she was worth for Scream 6. And so it feels gross to just be like, hey, here's all this money. Please come into Scream 7. That feels desperate. I don't want Nev to go to a situation because they're like, oh, we're so desperate. Now we want you. And 2, she's superior to these people. She's the Scream Queen. She deserved all that money that she was asking for. And I just think she's better than what the Scream franchise is currently. And so I just want to see her right off into the sunset, before they screw up her character and just write another, you know, lousy Scream movie that kind of dilutes how important she has been to this franchise. And so I'm good. I don't need any more Screams, but I think they're gonna wipe the slate clean, and I think they're gonna try to move forward with Scream 7 with as messy as it is, because it's such a well established IP.
I agree. Marie, did you end up ever seeing the new Scream?
No, I think I've only seen Scream 1 and 2, maybe 3. I just don't remember. I'm not a huge fan. Like, not saying I don't like the movies. It's just I'm not like into the whole franchise.
I guess let me ask you this: like do you think it's okay for, I don't know, I guess, organizations and these companies, or do you think it's okay for actresses and actors to be let go from a franchise because of their personal beliefs? Like, how do you feel about that? I know it's a very touchy subject. I don't know the details of like what she supports and things like that. I'm just asking, like, as a generalized question, is that something that these actors and actresses should be held accountable for?
I mean, I think it depends. Like, it depends on what this person did. If it's just like I don't know what she said, so like I know nothing about what this girl said or what it was about. But if it's just like a freedom of speech type thing, I don't know, because I know there was a character in The Mandalorian who got fired for saying something, and it was just, I totally disagreed with it. And I'm not a cancel culture person at all, so I don't know. I don't know. Again, I don't know what she
It's
said.
tough. It's
But
tough.
I just feel like no one's safe. But also, it's like if this is your career and you know this is what could happen, then maybe you just gotta keep your mouth shut on things. Not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying this is the world now, and it's a shame that people can't voice their opinions without getting some sort of like backlash or anything from it. Again, don't know what she said, so don't come at me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But I think that if they do another Scream movie, it shouldn't be a Scream 7, like not a continuation from what this is. They should just do like a whole, not a reboot, but like scrap it and do something new.
Yeah.
Do something new. Like forget this happened and move on and do something fresh and new later.
Yeah, I think this storyline is over. I think the core 4 storyline, I think that's done. There's no coming back from that. Like,
and it should be. I mean, I think at the end of Scream 6, with her throwing the mask on the ground, it's not like they can't end it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As much as I really did enjoy Scream 6, I walked out of it also thinking to myself, where are they going to go next? I don't really want them to do anything else, to be honest. So I don't know. Kevin, do you know how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel like she should have been let go? Like, how do you feel about that whole, just generalized, not just her in general, but do you think actors and actresses should be held accountable for that?
Let me tell you how I feel. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Just because I'm not even going to get into that. I don't know
it's tough. Yeah.
I don't know the context. I don't know what's happening over there. It's a tough thing to talk about. I'm not intellectual and cognizant enough about the situation, so I'm not even going to touch it. But I agree with what Marie said. It just depends on what you're saying, how you're saying it, and also the world we live in now. We're in a glass box. People are going to want to paint you as something. So if you don't say anything, then you're a bad person. If you do say something, then you're a bad person. You're labeled. And so it's just like, then what do you do? And so I can't speak on it because I just don't know 100% what the facts are. And that's just how it is.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I don't dive headfirst into like world news. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I feel like the world is just like such a dark and scary place. Like I try to avoid that in a way, as bad as that may be. Like I just try to stay in my own little bubble. But I'm with both of you. I there's nothing I could really touch on to say in detail about that. Because I don't know the ins and outs of what things mean and what's going on. I just thought it was a shock. I think obviously for anything, just in general, not this situation, I feel like if you are part of a brand or a company, I feel like you do kind of represent them in a way. But the only thing that I feel like I may have a little pushback on with that as well is, did they even come to her and talk to her and be like, hey, we don't want to kind of be involved of what you're saying, whatever that may be? Or did they just really just come with the hammer and be like, you're gone? Like, did they even give her a chance to, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of unanswered questions. I just think that they're in a very bad spot to continue this movie, one that I didn't think they should have made anyways. But if you have the director and the writers behind this movie upset and heartbroken that Melissa is not going to be here, are you going to get their full potential out of making a movie? So I don't know if this is a good situation for Spyglass to be in.
Yeah, it's messy. Yeah, it's messy.
It is.
Real
now,
messy.
I want to translate into this before we jump into Terrifier 2. Kevin, me and you talked about it a little bit, and you met some of the Scream casts while we're on Scream about a week and a half ago.
I did. I sure did, man.
And you teased it on the watch along that you would talk about it. So I'm going to step back, let you talk about your experience at the.
I know nothing about this.
Yeah, Marie has.
I know nothing.
Well, man,
get ready.
Okay.
Yeah, just talking about Scream. I feel like I've kind of fallen out of love with Scream for a few reasons now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a weird place for me. It hurts. It feels weird. I have my poster right behind this computer with all the autographs, and I feel like I can't even look at it. Um, so went to Atlanta.
Mhm.
I've met Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich and Nev Campbell once before. They were pleasant,
Okay.
professional. Um, so I just went down there to see them again because I had a new poster. You know, I got David Arquette's autograph on there, and David Arquette's the man, one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. Me and Mike had a good memory meeting him. Um, so it was Nev Campbell, Jamie Kennedy, Matthew Lillard, Skeet Ulrich, and Lee Waddell, who plays Ghostface in one and some in Scream 2. So I went twice during the weekend. I was just gonna go once, but I went twice because I hear it's a madhouse now trying to meet all those people. I was like, well, I really don't want to be in there all day and still miss my chance at meeting them. So I went Friday night, and the first person I met was Matthew Lillard. And for if you don't know Marie, Matthew Lillard's like really just like pleasant and goofy, and he's present with his fans, and he's very sweet. He gets on stage and he talks about how blessed he is for the Scream fan base and how they show up and pay all this money and still kind of give him a living. And so he seems very grateful for these conventions and for these fans that pay way too much money to meet these actors.
Okay.
So my nephew is a big Five Nights at Freddy's fan. And Matthew Lillard's in that movie. He plays a pretty significant role. And my nephew loved him. And he wanted to go down there with me, but he just won his championship football game. And they were having like a get together for that weekend. Plus, he was trying out for basketball. So we couldn't go. So he was crushed. I was like, well, listen, I will bring you back a signed photograph. Is that cool? He's like, okay, yeah. But well, can you tell him that I said this? I'm like, yeah. What do you want to say? And so I recorded like a short video of him talking, just saying, "Hey, Mr. Lillard, my name's Jax. You were great in FNAF, and I thought you were just so cool. And hopefully, you can come here in 2024 when you come to Charlotte. I'd love to meet you." Like a really short, sincere message. I was like, "I promise I'll show it to him." So I get in line. And I'm in line for like 20, 30 minutes, and Matthew's prices have gone up quite a bit. They used to be like 40, now they're 70. So that's $140 for 2 signatures. It's a lot. And he's like doing his normal goofy interactions with people, and he gets to me, and he sees my shirt, and it's like a Stu Macher shirt, and he complimented me about that. And I get him to sign my poster, and he signs it. He almost just signed his name without asking, did I want like it personalized, that I want a quote. He just was very rushed. So I told him what I wanted, and he almost messed up the spelling because he was rushing so quick. But the moment I was looking forward to the most was telling him about my nephew. And I remember standing in line, almost getting emotional because of how much this person playing a character that's meant so much to me my whole life, and now that's gone on to my nephew who looks up to this person. So I just thought that was cool. So I was like, congrats on Five Nights at Freddy's. And he kind of smiled and lit up there. I was like, I'm sure it feels good to finally talk about that. And I hand him the 8x10 poster of him from Five Nights at Freddy's. And I go to show him the video that my nephew took. And he goes, no videos. I go, oh, no. This is just, I wanted to show you this. He goes, oh, okay. So I go to show it to him, and it's loud in there. He's got his music playing. And so he looks at it. And I'm like, it's kind of hard to hear, but it's a short message from my nephew about how much he loves you and how much he wanted to be here. He's heartbroken, he couldn't be here. It's very short. So he holds it up for half a second, and then he kind of like goes to start signing the poster or the print. Doesn't listen to the video at all.
Okay.
At all. And I probably said 3 or 4 times, my nephew. And he gets done signing it, and he rolls up my poster and hands it back to me. And he goes, oh, that's a sweet looking kid. Is that your son? I'm like, I'm like, no, that's my nephew. I was like, we just both love you so much, and um, you know, appreciate you. Have a good day. And it just felt so all about money, you know.
Yeah.
It just did not feel sincere, and it didn't feel like the message that he's been preaching about gratitude and fans. And I just felt like I wasn't worth his time. And all I wanted was for him to listen to that short 10-second video, and for him to understand how much this moment meant for me and for him. But that was a letdown. But it wasn't as bad
Oh no.
as Jamie Kennedy.
Here we
Oh.
go.
Jamie Kennedy
Here we go.
was so rude. Was so rude. I was in Skeet's line. Old Skeet. And it was a pretty long line. And and Jamie didn't have anybody at his table. They're right next to each other. And so the girl behind me, I'm like, would you mind if I just ran over to Jamie really quick and I'll come right back? If not, that's okay. She's like, of course. So I go up to Jamie and he doesn't look all there. He looks either high or drunk, kind of haggard. And like I'm standing there for a few solid seconds and no one's like acknowledging me. And then he finally does. And I just usually say the same thing. I'm like, hey, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your work. This means a lot to me. It's so nice to finally meet you. And I roll out my poster. I'm like, do you do quotes? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, awesome. Let's do green. And I'm like, would you mind writing? There are certain rules that one must abide by to successfully survive a horror movie. So he starts writing, and I'm worried that he's gonna like misspell something because he's pretty slurred. He's pretty faded. He starts signing it. He gets halfway through, and he gets to abide by, and he puts ... He goes, "Is that good?" And it's so awkward because I'm like, can you finish the rest of it? He goes, Jesus, man, you said a quote, not a book. And then he looks over at the girl who takes the money. He goes, and he charged $50 for his autograph. He goes, 51. And then she looks over. She's like, oh, God, he is feeling really generous tonight. And at that moment, I just wanted to rip the poster up and just like leave. That felt so rude and awkward. And I just laughed it off. And he finished writing it. And as he's writing, he goes, I'm running out of room, man. What do you want me to... You picked the spot on the poster. It's your most famous, iconic line. It's maybe, 10 words long? And he chose to be rude to a fan that's paying this money for you to scribble some ink on a poster. And now that's all I'm going to think about when I see Randy Meeks, one of the coolest, funniest, most endearing, likable characters in that franchise. And so that sucked. That sucked. But Nev was great. Nev never lets me down. She's always professional. And Skeet was great. Skeet's professional. He makes the moment fun. He asks where you're from. We're both from Charlotte. Skeet's from Concord, North Carolina. So we're talking about the traffic here, which is like always the common theme of any conversations, either traffic or weather. But we talked about that. And he was just very professional. Lee Waddell was also really professional and fun, and handed me a bracelet that has like first ghost face. And so he was great. But the way Matthew rushed through it and didn't listen, and the way Jamie was so just abrasive and gross and rude, and then all the stuff that's happening now with the franchise, I'm just like not about it right now. And that just feels like such a wet blanket thing to say, but it really disappointed me. And I couldn't quit thinking about that on the way home. Just weird. It was weird.
Yeah. I told Kevin, I remember when he sent me the message, I felt so bad for him because it's such a fucked up story. Especially with Matthew. no offense to Jamie Kennedy, but I can kind of see that from him. You know, I can kind of see him acting like that. But I guess for the Matthew Lillard thing, like he gets comments all the time about how nice and genuine he is, like Kevin
Yeah.
pointed out when he first started out. So to hear that happen is like disheartening because it wasn't like he was like rude by like being rude like Jamie was, but it was like his actions, like Kevin said, like he was only there for the money. That was rude.
Yeah, and
Like
I get that everything's about money. You know, these people are giving their time. I get it. But don't make me feel like it's just about the money. And that's what this whole convention, I mean, they all feel like they're about money because they're so expensive, but this one especially just felt like nobody mattered. I didn't matter. And that sucked to feel like that. I don't know if it's because it was just me there. I'm just this lone dude. I don't have my girlfriend with me or my sister or my nephew. And that's why they didn't, you know, exude all that lovable energy. But I'm paying you my hard-earned money. Give me 15 seconds of at least fakeness, fake happiness.
Yeah.
And they
You're
just
an actor,
didn't.
right?
Exactly. But they just didn't. And that's my biggest fear when I go to conventions is having a shitty interaction with someone that's played a character that I've loved my whole life for
don't
them
meet
to
your
Yeah.
just
heroes.
do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a 50-50 chance.
I've
Yeah.
real quick, Murray, before I let you go. But I was watching the Slaughtered Lamb podcast, and they had just went to a couple of conventions, and they were talking about who was coming up at the ones next year or something like that. And I think it was Darren who was like, he's a big fan. I forgot who it was, but he was talking about how he was a big fan of somebody, but he heard that he is an asshole to meet in person. And Darren was like, I'm not gonna meet him in person and have that character ruined for me. As much as I want to meet him, I just can't do it. And that's like such a hard thing to do. And I'm with Kevin, like that's such like luckily I haven't met as many people as Kevin, but I've had nothing but great experiences. I've had one experience that was pretty bad, but that was with a football player. But other than that, I've had great experiences, and it's frustrating, especially like you said, the money that you're putting into it, and it sucks that you feel like that Scream is dead for you in a sense.
Yeah.
It's really
That's
kind of dimmed the light for my love for that franchise. It's really kind of fizzled out right now. That hurts to hear me say that,
yeah,
Yeah.
I know,
but it has.
Well,
But it's
now
okay.
every time you see that quote in the movie, you're going to be thinking about that experience. Like you're
Oh
going to
my
be thinking about
God.
that.
Yeah. I don't know.
and it breaks my heart to hear because I'm sitting here looking at all 3 VHSs, and I'm just like, I love this
Yeah.
I love this franchise so much, and to hear
Oh
Kevin
man.
say that, it breaks my heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know that's your number one horror franchise.
Yeah,
So
that franchise is magic to me.
yeah, well,
Like those first 3 just mean so much. Those characters mean so much. And now I have to think about the memories that are tied to those
yeah.
characters, and it just oof. Yeah.
Well, I guess you can come over and make Halloween your favorite franchise. Come on over, man.
Yeah. Come
Come on
on,
over.
Kevin.
Well,
Come on
then you
over.
got the David Gordon Green Well, I will say this: as much as I don't love the Blumhouse Halloweens and like James Jew Courtney's iteration of Myers, that dude is the man at cons. That dude is so present and cool and kind and professional.
And
So
it's
props
crazy.
to him.
It's crazy we're saying this. We're talking about somebody being a nice human being.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know. But
That
yes,
should be the bare. That should be
Yeah.
the bare minimum. People, just be a nice human being,
Yeah.
especially if you know that these people are your fans and they're paying money just to get you to sign something for like 3 seconds. Be nice. You know when I said, "Hey, I don't believe in canceling unless it depends on what it is." Screw you, Jamie Kennedy. Canceled.
Yeah. That's what I
Matthew
told
Lillard,
Nev.
maybe too.
I
I'm
told
just kidding.
Nev I was just because I met her the next day. I was like, I just want to tell you, I know these cons are probably really exhausting and really repetitive. And she was like, no, no. But I said, thank you for always being so present and kind to every single fan that you meet. that goes a long way. And so I just thanked her for that. She was the best. She just is so lovable and humble and ethereal, and that's why she's the Scream Queen. Love you, Nev.
Yeah.
Canadian. Like, what can I say? Canadian.
Yeah, that's true.
People just we have to be polite. It's in our blood.
I'm still upset over the photo. You could bet your ass when I meet her, I'm like, I need you to like hug me a little tighter than this photo. Like, hug me tighter.
She probably will. That's like, I'll bring it up again when I asked her. I said, "Could we do like the hug pose?" And she just immediately went in and hugged me tight. I was just like, "Oh, I'm hugging Nev Campbell. Her hair's touching my chin. She's touching my back.
she touched my leg.
She touched my. Okay, kill him. Yeah." She
Oh,
was so
great.
great.
That's great. All right, guys, are you ready to talk Terrifier 2?
The gloves are off. Let's do it.
I think so.
Okay,
Get my
so
chapstick on.
a little bit of backstory here. The reason we were talking about Terrifier 2 is not because of the Terrifier 3 teaser that just released. We're talking about it because Marie finally watched Terrifier 2 for the first time. And her thoughts do not align with my thoughts or Kevin's thoughts. And I saw Kevin's Letterboxd score, and we're
gonna talk about that.
We got to talk about that.
We
got to talk about that. But Marie, before we dive into it, the only thing I want to know is what did hold you back from watching Terrifier 2?
Okay, what held me back was the fact that people kept saying about how much worse it was than the first one. They're like, oh, okay, everybody I heard, every review I saw was just like, oh, you thought the first one was bad. Well, the second one, buckle up, Buttercup. It's like, I was like, okay, the first one is so intense and graphic for me personally. Like, I don't do well, and I don't even watch slashers that much because I just can't handle it that, So I was just like, it took me a while to watch the first Terrifier. I was really late to the game on that. And I think I watched it home alone while my kids were at school one day. I was just like, I'm just gonna force myself to do it. And I have feelings about the first one. And then I was like, wow, if the second one is that much worse, like graphic than the first one, like, I don't know if I can handle it. I don't think I can. And then I don't know, just the other night I was like, screw it, watching Terrifier 2. Like, I'm just gonna do it. And then I did it.
And then you did it. I woke up. So I woke up the next morning on the way to work, and I saw that Marie watched Terrifier 2. I'm like, wow, this is great. And then I click over to the next slide of her story, and it's just straight shit. Just shitting all over Terrifier 2.
Yeah, Marie's
but
like, I'm in mourning right now. Please.
But it came from a passionate place in her heart. And I'm like, oh, this cut deep for her. I'm like, I got to message her immediately. And I'm sitting there messaging her, and I could feel the disappointment, the hate in her text. And I'm like, we got to talk about this.
Yep.
We got to talk about this. Funny story real quick. I didn't expect that either. But funny story, I'm sitting there like super busy at work, and I get a ding on my phone, and it's Kevin. He's like, I already knew what it was about before I even opened it. It was hours later.
Was it about me hating
it? Was. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, Marie is pissed. She hates this movie.
Okay, when something is so talked up to you, or like talked up to the world, people are puking in the theater. I'm like, okay. And then you see it and you're like, what? Honestly, guys, I watched that movie and didn't even flinch. Like, I wasn't even like, oh shit, oh god. I wasn't even like that. I was like,
yeah, you're pretty crazy for that. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
There's reasons why I felt that way. There's reasons why I felt that way.
Well, I think that one of the biggest reasons is because you've grown, Marie. You've grown up such a tolerance in your horror life right now. I just felt like you feel like you can deal with a lot.
I don't think that's it, Michael. I don't think that's it.
I was trying to find some positivity in this. Okay, that's what I was trying.
You're trying to justify it.
But.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we dive into the second one, can we give our initial thoughts on the first one? Kevin, I know you recently watched the first one and the second one. I recently watched the first one and the second one as well. And Marie, I don't know how long it's been since you've watched the first one, but I know you were the person that told me to watch the first one. And I did. And I really liked it. So, Kevin, Marie, what did you think about the first Terrifier overall?
Screw you, Kevin. I gotta go first. Actually, no, Kevin. Let's go first. Just kidding.
Hubba,
Well,
hubba, hubba.
you're gonna interrupt me this whole time. Okay, when I first watched it, I loved how low budget felt, but it felt like it had passion behind it, a purpose. I loved the design of Art the Clown. I loved his whole concept. I loved that he was silent. I loved that he was playful but horrifying. I love that he played games, that he wasn't, sometimes he has a gun, sometimes he has like all these tools. Like, what? You never really see that. It's usually like, well, there's like hardly ever a gun involved.
Yeah.
And like in like slashers, but anyway, I like that's new. I love the lighting. My favorite lighting of all time is like that tealy blue and the red, and I get that from watching Creepshow, and that introduced me to horror. So that the color palette, the grit, I felt it was like a fresh slasher movie. It was just something very different than I thought. I loved that it felt like someone just could have made this for like their college project, but it was like way better than I thought it was going to be. I loved the close quarters. I loved the dingy atmosphere. I loved the diner. And then there's like only 2 spots where it really took place. I love the whole, I really love that movie. And it really, there's the kills. There's parts in it where I was just like, oh my God, no, this is not happening. This is not happening. What am I watching? And I love that. And then I have my feelings about the second one.
What would you give the first one out of 5?
Out of 5. Oh man, it's so I hate rating systems. I feel like I feel like if I do it out of 10, it's easier than out of 5.
Is that why you don't have a letterbox?
Yeah, out of the 5 thing throws me off. And whenever I do reviews on my review page, it's always out of 10. Because for me, I'd say like the first Terrifier is like a 7.5 out of 10. But out of 5, I feel like giving it like a 3 or 3.5 is too little, but a 4 is too much. Like, is that weird? 3.8 maybe. Like, a 5 is a weird rating. So like 7.5 out of 10, 7 out of 10 for what it is.
Cool.
I rate things weird.
You need to get a letterbox. I think you would be really good at it.
I put my friend Blake on Letterboxd, and he's like obsessed now. I think he has a Patreon account now.
It's fun.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, buy me a Patreon account, please.
Yeah, same. So for me, for Terrifier, so to provide some context, I saw Terrifier 2 first. I think I saw parts of the first Terrifier like a year before I saw Terrifier 2, and I just wasn't in the mood for that. It is very low budget, but the acting in the first one is really wooden, and it feels like they're reading off the script as opposed to just, being in their role. And so I just checked out immediately. So I didn't circle back and watch the first one until this year, until maybe this summer, or maybe I don't know when it was. It was sometime this year, but I'll just read my review because it kind of just says everything I want to say. I was first introduced to Art the Clown and all of the scrappy ingenuity of director, writer, and makeup effects artist Damien Leone in Terrifier 2, a movie and villain so excessively vile, creative, and unafraid, with great characters and one of the strongest final girls of all time, a shockingly impressive slasher, and an unbelievable glow up of its predecessor in every way. Damien Leone is a multitasking madman. Terrifier definitely has its moments, but is missing the sadistic glee and confidence of its successor. The characters and narrative lack structure and substance. The flow of the movie is awkward and dull, but what it gets right is practical effects. I just feel Marie breathing down my neck, waiting to pounce. But what it gets right is practical effects, a gritty ambiance, and a few really memorable scenes with Art the Clown, setting the stage for what's to come. So my favorite scene in the first Terrifier is the pizza shop. I love how it looks. I love Art coming in and just sitting there, the nuances in his face. I just love the look of that. Aside from like the hacksaw kill, the movie loses me after that. Like the whole homeless lady with her baby is really weird. Art like sucks his thumb, it just feels like they capitalized on a concept of a villain. They were like, look at how cool Art the Clown looks, but they had no story, and it just bored me. As opposed to Terrifier 2, where they capitalize on Art the Clown and the story and the characters. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want me to go? Or do you want to respond to that?
The only reason why I want to respond right away is because I'm going to forget. I've already forgot points that I wanted to say while he was talking.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I
Go
have the
ahead.
worst memory. Okay, I agree about the acting in the first one, but I have to say the acting in the second one, aside from what's her name, Laura, what's her name,
Lauren Rivera.
Aside from her, all the acting's terrible in the second one. I hated everybody.
I disagree
I'm
hard.
like, who's good at acting in the second one?
I think everybody's really good, actually. I think the mom. I think the mom's good. I think she's actually. It's nice to have a mom that's like mad and like realistically just cussing and just yelling at her kids and is just stressed because of the loss of her husband, what happened with him, and how do you keep that together? I like that. I actually really like Casey Hartnett, who's the girl that gets like mutilated in the bedroom, and the girl that plays, is it Brooke, the blonde that gets like acid thrown on her face. I actually think she's really good as that friend. I think everyone in that movie feels believable. They just feel really endearing. They feel organic. I just think in the first one, people feel wooden and lost with who they are as a character. And in 2, everyone feels like that's who they're supposed to be. It feels natural.
Okay.
Okay.
I kind of disagree, and like the woodenness in the first one, maybe I can forgive it because it was so low budget and everything that I was like, this feels like a low, but this is how it would be and should be. And then I know what you're saying about the acting in the first one, though I'm agreeing with you, and how there is like no story in the first one as well. Also, I agree with you. But what I didn't like about the second one was like, I feel like they were trying to put too much story into this movie. It's way too long, almost double the length of the first one. Like, it's stupid long, unnecessarily long. And I feel like they added so many tidbits of things in the second one where it's like, okay, so wait, so there's this little girl, and like he killed her, I guess, and then I guess she's with him sometimes, but we're not really going to focus on her or really explain it, but we're going to have her in there. Maybe we'll explain it in a third movie. And then there's this main character girl. She's the final girl, and she has powers or something. Like, she's kind of like the yin to his yang, I guess, and like the heaven and hell. And then the dad, I guess maybe he was seeing things. And then there's this glowing sword with magic. And then there's like the brothers obsessed with the killer. And like, I'm just like, why is this so much? I feel like this could have been spread out through a trilogy itself. Like, you could have focused on the little girl, who I guess is people I guess the people he kills are attached to him and whatever. Focus one movie on her, have her more in it, have them more connected. Okay, that's a movie. And then like, oh, we're gonna introduce like the protagonist who's gonna be a counterpart in the third movie, and we're gonna focus on her. And maybe there's like some weird power she has, and she's like can go into his realm or something. And it's all this like supernatural shit now. And then we're gonna like take time to explain it in 2 different movies instead of making one long ass movie, throwing a whole bunch of shit in. And it's like whoa, it's too much. Okay. It was just like too much. The first one is too simple. Yes. But it was good at what it was. This was too much. I don't know what you're trying to fucking do. Director, writer, Damien Leone. What's his name?
Mm-hmm.
It was too much.
Too excessive.
It was way too excessive. And it was just like, okay. It felt pretentious in a sense. Or it was like, oh, he's always magical. And you're like, oh, it doesn't make... I guess he's sucking his thumb. A girl birthed his head in the second one. You don't think that's dumb?
That was cool to me when he's sucking his thumb. I didn't like the homeless character. She's like, I guess neighbors weren't good after all. Have you ever felt a mother's touch? It just did not work for me. And
I didn't really like her either, to be honest. I didn't, but I did like when he like wore her skin and like
I did like
around.
that. Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, I did like that.
But yeah, I just okay, Michael, go, and then I have more to say too, but you can go.
This is a good podcast. All right, so for Terrifier 1 for me, I watched it because Marie said I should watch it, so I did. But I knew the second one was coming out, and I was like, I'd never seen it. I knew who Art the Clown was to a degree. but I never saw any clips or anything like that. So I decided to watch the first one, and I gave it a 3 out of 5. I thought that, and that was just to be blunt and straight up, it was because of Art the Clown. I just thought that David Howard Thornton is so good at what he does, being able to say so much without saying anything at all, I think is a huge plus for him and the character of Art the Clown. I agree with Kevin. My favorite scene is the pizza place scene.
It's so cool.
It's so creepy and like gives you chills. The hacksaw scene, I still cannot fully watch. I found myself looking away again when I watched that. So that one gets me. And another plus that I will take away from the first one is, I think, Marie, you brought it up, Art the Clown, when he used the gun, was very shocking, because that's something that we're just not used to seeing from slashers, really. Like when it comes to like a killer like that. So that was shocking, and it, like at that point I just knew Art the Clown was just on a different level from all the other slashers. So those were my positives, and unfortunately those were my only positives from the first one. But I still, I think it suffers in storyline and in acting, and the fact that it still got a 3-star from me, like, I think says a lot too. I don't hate the first one. I just think it does lack a lot of substance for me. And I thought that they made up for that, Marie, in the second one. And we can talk more about that. But last point on the first one, I do think one of the reasons that I did like it and it did gain some points for me was it felt so pure and independent, and obviously is, but the grittiness to it, like you had mentioned. So I think the first one for me, the way I look at it, is an introduction to who Art the Clown is.
Yeah,
like that's how I personally look at it, because there is really no storyline there. But yeah, that's how I feel about Terrifier 1.
it
3 out
does
of 5.
feel. Yeah, I think I gave it 2 out of 5. It's probably more of a 2.5. It's just kind of that mid range. Like there's a lot that I love. There's a lot that I don't. It does feel more rough around the edges as opposed to Terrifier 2. But I love the grit and the grain. I love the aesthetic of it. I love Art the Clown in it. But the substance was just not there for me in 1.
I agree. There is not really a substance to it. And I like that. It reminded me of an old slasher movie. Like, it's reminding me of like an
Yeah.
old, like there's like Jason, whatever. Just like, I don't need a backstory with movies like that. And to have so much story in the second one was such a jump, I guess, where I felt I wasn't focused on Art at all in the second one. I feel like there was no tension at all. I'm like, well, the final girl's gonna survive. She has plot armor all over her. Like, she's gonna, like, there was no tension. I was never scared. I was never disgusted. I felt like this whole movie was just like, how can we top the first one with kills? How can we top it? We got to make everything way grosser. And I can feel the writers writing the movie. I wasn't in it. I could feel it being a written movie and it being like, okay, how are we going to top it? So to me, I can understand when Kevin told me that he watched the second one first. I was like, oh yeah, you're probably not going to like that. Cause then I would feel that way for the first one. Like, how are we going to topple these kills, man? I guess that's kind of what it feels like to me. It felt like the Halloween Kills version, but like with more story, because just like, oh yeah, we got to make Art like so bad. It's just throw salt in her wound. Oh, it's gonna be so fucking cool, man. I'm just like, okay. He cut a vagina in half. Like, how are you gonna top that? How are you ever gonna top that first one? Sorry, you probably have to bleep out the word.
Well, I think Damien Leone. Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just really felt like I wasn't focused on Art the Clown at all in this one. There's too many distractions from him. He wasn't creepy enough. And I felt like it was almost a different actor, because I did not feel like there's so much cat and mouse playing, because there's only 2 characters, really, a third, I guess, with that homeless woman in the first one. And it's him toying with these people the whole movie. This had too many characters, too many areas, like too many sets. It was too many places. It was just too much. and I'm like, I don't even know who to focus on because you kind of want like Art's like a badass, like he's up there with like going to be, I think, one of like the like top slashers. Like he's like his mask is going to be up there with like a Freddy or like a Jason.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really care about him in this movie. I was just like, okay, I get, but there's this little girl here now. Like I just didn't get it.
I think you have a point to a degree, because I agree with some of that. Like I find like in the first one, I didn't latch myself to any of the characters, so when they died, I didn't feel
I like
anything. See, I don't.
I liked it in a way.
So
in a way, I kind of liked it for a slasher movie. I kind of liked it.
Just to be straight up, I gave Terrifier 2 4.5 out of 5. And it did not get 5 out of 5 for one reason, and it's kind of something that you touched on. I found like one of the things I love a lot about Terrifier 2 is we did get our final girl. We did in Lauren Lavera. The reason that it did not get a 5 from me is because I found myself latched on to her character and Art's character so much. Even though they fought and she got her ass kicked, at the end of the day, I knew she was never, ever in danger. So it dropped a little bit for me, and why I did not get a 5, because I just didn't feel that way. But when I think about like Scream, like Ghostface, Nev Campbell's a little higher than Ghostface. You know what I mean? So the final girl for me is always probably going to be a little higher, except for this one. As much as I love Lauren Lavera, that first movie made me fall in love with Art the Clown. Yeah. And the performance. But see, we got two different things out of it, because I thought Art just took it up to a whole nother level in this second movie. Like I get what you're saying. There's so much in here. Like I get it, but like I just feel like he is just like the scene that Kevin is playing behind. I thought was he just toys with people in this one as well. Like when he's with the candy and he comes back, and like the bedroom scene with her, I thought was pretty fucking disgusting. Like I think I closed my eyes as well on that one. Not as much as the hacksaw scene. That will probably always be number one for me. But I just thought Art the Clown did another job. I just thought they took it to another level in this movie. For me, they didn't do too much. And that's kind of where I will leave the initial thoughts here and then turn it over to Kevin.
Yeah, I saw Terrifier 2 when I was in LA, and I wasn't really looking forward to it because I couldn't get into the first one. I was like, I don't know if this is going to be for me. It's got such a low budget. How good can it be? And I walked out giving that movie 5 out of 5 stars. I loved Terrifier 2. It was my favorite movie of the year. And I think I was just so impressed by Damien Leone's ambition with this movie. He's the writer, he's the director, he's the special effects artist, which is insane. I could not imagine the level of stress that dude was under trying to pull this movie off, and he did it. I think the people that he cast were home runs all across the board. And for me, for a horror movie to really grip me, I need a really good villain, and I need really good characters that I can relate to, that I can root for. And that's what I got with Sienna. I love how she got her name. I was watching Terrifier 2 again today with the director's commentary. And because Bob Ross used burnt sienna so much with his colors, Sienna's an artist. That's where she got her name, which I thought was cool. But I was just so impressed by how inventive and ballsy, ambitious, and unforgiving Terrifier 2 was. It just felt so refreshing, and a horror movie that went there. And Terrifier 2 went there. And so I watched it again. I've watched it twice in the past week. I bumped it down from 5 to 3.5. I think it's going to settle right at 4 stars for me. I think that's where it's going to finally land, because it does feel long. It is more fantastical than you probably would expect out of a Terrifier movie. But I really dug that stuff. And I loved hearing Damien Leone talk about what some of it meant, and fate, and like divine energy, and like it's really cool. So if you have time to go back and listen to the commentary, it was really cool. So those are my initial thoughts on Terrifier 2. It was just a breath of air seeing it last year.
Marie.
I mean, I guess I would appreciate any movie more if I watched the commentary stuff and like listened to why all the choices were made, and like hearing the director talk about it passionately. Like that always is a. It makes you appreciate everything more when you do that. So maybe if I watched the commentary with it, I'd be like, okay, it didn't do it. It didn't do it for
So
me.
you didn't like any character outside of the final girl. Like you thought everybody was
No.
pretty bad.
Yeah, I didn't really like. I don't know. There's parts in it where I was like rolling my eyes. I'm like, okay, the sword's glowing and the wound's glowing. I'm like, okay, like I don't know. It wasn't for me. Adding like that whole like over the top supernatural in all these different ways. I just feel like this could have been spread out. You could have made a whole trilogy with just that. And then I guess, and they're saying like, okay, so the veil is thinnest during Halloween. That's why he comes out at Halloween. But the next one's supposed to be a Christmas movie. And is it supposed to be a Christmas movie because he's like reborn? Is he like an antichrist? And is it going to be like now it's Christmas and like
I don't know,
like,
but
what
they
is that?
got me. They got me sold. I'm excited. And I got a question for y'all at the very end of this that I think is going to be a good one to talk about. But didn't mean to cut you off. I know you have a list, so I was going to let you go down and just talk about anything else you wanted to talk about.
No, I love the colors and the lighting. I mean, it got a little much after a while. It's like where it's like everything's cut in half with like the blue and the red or the blue and the peach. Where it's like we get it, dark and light. We get it, like two, like good and bad.
Oh,
like I
man.
get it, but I love that. But then I was like, I don't know. I just feel like it was trying too hard.
Like this scene,
And I feel like the
about
first one
show-
wasn't trying too hard. It was just a thing, and this one was a try hard movie.
I agree that the first one was just a thing, but like I don't know, I just something about this like I felt like the kills were a lot better in this movie to me.
Everything
Like-
looked great. All the effects were awesome and stuff, but
Yeah, I think Mike Flanagan branded Art the Clown a super slasher, and I think fans of this franchise are expecting more brutality, more like kills that are going to make you vomit and pass out. So I think you have to go bigger, and I think he did that with this kill. This was the first time I've had to look away for a kill, and I'd never look away. Once he like starts cutting her scalp off, he fillets her back open. He's ripping her face off. He's pouring salt. Like, God, man. And plus, like I saw it in a packed theater in October in LA. Everyone was like thirsty for a new insane horror movie, and we got it. Like the conditions were perfect for this, and so it's just a really good memory. But like circling back, I think fans are expecting more with how insane Art the Clown is with his art, and so I think Leone had to go bigger.
Yeah, and I don't think that's gonna stop in 3. I think it's gonna be even crazier. The kills are gonna be more gorier. Like this scene is gonna like I don't even know if I can watch it. Can you
I'm trying to like bob and weave.
And
so it's
Marie,
not
this scene didn't do nothing for you. Like you were good. I'm just asking. Like that's pretty badass for real.
no, I found it more like comedic. I think I found it more like slapsticky comedic. I don't know why. I don't know why. It wasn't like
Damn.
I didn't find him this dark creepy clown in this one like the first one. I don't know why. I mean this is a lot. Yeah, I mean do everything, right? Like do everything to her, like cut her head off, cut her eye out, slice her back, throw some salt in there, like just do everything to this bitch.
The inspiration. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say the kills are just back on the kills. I just think they're crazy good. Like the mashed potato scene with the mom after being shot. Like
that feels like Hereditary to me. The whole exploded head at the dinner table. That just felt so Hereditary. I don't know what it was.
The whole mashed potatoes through the head. Like that is like to me that was like prime Art the Clown, Marie. Prime Art the Clown.
Doesn't he have like an apron on or some shit? And he's just like.
And then the Halloween store scene, that dude got fucked up.
Which looked
and then
great.
and then just Art the Clown like holding the head when the little kid is peeking in the window.
Yeah.
Marie, come on, we got to get you to come to the dark side.
I don't know what it is. Maybe because it didn't feel as intimate as the first one. I really felt like this really like claustrophobic. I'm scared of him in this tight space, and now it's like he's walking all over town. I don't know. I like the intimacy of the first one. I think I just liked it where it's like we all felt trapped in there with everybody. Like after like the pizza place, it was like we're in this one place.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know what it was. Maybe
think-
because it was just like I don't know, it was just too much for me. I don't know why. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay,
No,
I'm wrong.
No.
All right.
I love that you don't. No, actually, I don't love that you don't like it. I was gonna say that because usually, like, I love the fact that Kevin likes Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Unfortunately, like that's cool.
No, unfortunately.
But like, I love when like people don't agree with like the mass group. Like, I think that's just like so cool. As much as I would love for you to love this movie. But I was gonna say, I think one of the things that I do appreciate about the first one that goes to your point is like the simplicity of it. It did lack a lot of story, and we touched on that. But I do like the fact it does take place in only 2 spots, really. So you only have so much to work with. It kind of reminds me of Saw in a sense, the very first one, when the whole movie is pretty much in one room. Like it's just hard to create movies like that and make them really good. So I thought they did a fine job. I just thought that everything was amplified and better by notches in the second one.
And real quick, the inspiration behind Allie's bedroom kill was a photo that Damien Leone came across of a victim from Jack the Ripper who was so mutilated she was unrecognizable. And so I just thought that was a really sick, gross, twisted thing to put in your horror movie.
Any positives, Marie, for you?
I didn't like hate it. I don't want to be like, hey, there's movies I hate, but this was like,
don't backtrack now.
Don't let us talk you out of it.
Don't let us talk you out of it.
We still love you if you hate it, but just maybe not love you as much. I'm just kidding.
That's okay. I guess there was just, I do like the simplicity of the first one. You're right about the story. There was no story. I will not argue that at all. I agree. And I didn't hate that aspect about it. There was times in this movie where I was like laughing, kind of rolling my eyes. It's like, let's do more shots of slow motion of Sienna getting whipped in the back and going, oh, let's get more shots of that. I was like, this is like a torture porn movie. And so just like, there was like things where I'm just like, okay, this is all right. I don't know. It just felt like too much. I know like there's finally a story, I guess, but it was
then I thought her mom walking in on this was like, I felt this too. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah, and then she's still alive. Like,
I should feel that. I didn't feel anything.
That hurts my heart.
Why?
That hurts my heart.
It hurts my heart.
That happens.
I don't know. I mean, this is deeper into the movie, so if you're not already into it, like, I get it. This is going to be flagged on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm trying. Shoot. Where was I going? I don't remember. We'll come back. There's just a lot to say about this movie.
When I first saw pictures and stills of this movie, like I knew that little girl was going to be in here, and I thought, okay, this girl, this little, what's it called, her pale girl or something like that.
Little pale girl, yeah.
I was like, okay, there. Also, when she like shits, I'm like, okay, like really, like to me, it just felt like, how can we gross people out so hard? And I'm like, okay, let's have her shit. I don't know, it just felt like that. But I guess when I saw pictures, I thought that she was going to be like a huge part, and they were going to explain. And then when I saw her, I'm like, okay. This is going to be like, she's going to be his little sidekick. And then maybe it's going to be some like really cool, but she wasn't in it as much as I wanted her to be, or it wasn't explained as much as I wanted. I know they have like that newspaper clipping, a little bit of a thing. I'm like, that's it. That's all you're going to give us. Like have her be more in this movie. And then there's like, I don't know, like half an hour goes by. We don't see her. And I'm like, What's the point of this little girl? Like, why is she here? I want to know more. She's creepy AF. Like, give
They're
it like,
gonna
and yeah,
they're teeing you up for the third one. Come back and watch the
I don't.
third one, Marie.
I don't want it to be teed up. I want it explained in the movie. You introduce her and have her in there more. Because what
Yeah.
if something happens and someone gets canceled and now there isn't going to be a third movie?
To
That's
your
true.
point,
You know?
I do think there is a lot of ambiguity and things are
Yeah.
left up to interpretation. Like there's a lot. And I think Leone kind of like acknowledges that in interviews and in his commentary. But he was talking about the little pale girl, and he was saying that she is the entity that brings Art back, that resurrects him. And so they are kind of a sidekick in a sense. They're both demonic. She kind of like, what did he say? She lures Art to Sienna's friends because Sienna and Art the clown are both have like this fantastical like biblical-esque tie with each other. And so I
Yeah.
think I don't like the fantastical stuff really worked for me in this. I just thought it was different. I haven't seen anything like that in a horror movie. I thought Lauren Rivera was incredible for someone who's never acted in her life. This was her first movie ever. I don't remember how she got the role, but she just brought so much toughness and strength and fierceness and believability, like the way, like her nuances in her face, little mannerisms that really sells that this is a real person in this movie. I love stuff like that, and we don't get that often enough. And so, Lauren Lavera really carried this movie for me. Yes, she's gorgeous, but I just loved her acting. I thought she really brought it.
Yeah, I think and it's hard because I didn't know how I would react to her character, and I thought she did very well because I feel like we don't get a lot of final girls. Like in the new Halloween movies, what final girl do we ever get? You know what I mean? I mean, they had a chance to make Allison a final girl, and they just like never do
They didn't know
anything
what to
with her
do with
character.
her. Yeah.
That was wasted. They wasted a lot in the Blumhouse franchise, but like that was a waste. What horror movie have we gotten a final girl really since like Scream? As sad as that is, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that was a huge plus for them. I mean, granted, we didn't get her till this movie, so they kind of lost out on that. I don't know how many movies they're going to do after this. But yeah, I think that was a plus. Yeah, I don't know. It just worked. It just worked for me too. It just worked.
I did love circling back to the lighting. To me, it felt like one of those vintage vacancy like hotel
Mhm.
signs that lights up your room. It just felt like it
Mhm.
was bathed in that. I just dug it. That was cool.
Love the description.
Yeah. I know his descriptions are stupid. Shut up, Kevin, with your smart brain. Get
Y'all
out
like
of here.
that? Did y'all like it?
Jeez.
Did you like?
Uh, No, I love the lighting and the color palette in both the movies. And I like how this is like a peachy tealy, and then when it gets to like the very end, it has more of the red is amplified and it's like
Yeah.
more like the first movie. And you really feel that. But and yeah, I keep screwing up her Laura or Lauren Lavera.
Lauren,
Lauren, she was great in this movie. She was.
are you sure?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I was like, oh shit, her acting was really good. Like she was really good. But they're like, oh yeah, only you can defeat him. Why? I don't know.
Because she's the
Don't they
chosen
say-
one.
No, but does she say I don't know? Like, but like, why is she the chosen one?
I don't know.
Do we know?
Not
No.
yet. In the commentary, I hate spoiling this for y'all or like providing too much context, but her father, who died, was a vessel of sorts that could um, foresee futuristic stuff that he couldn't explain. He was kind of a vessel of good and evil, and something happens with him why he dies. But how did you feel about the clown cafe part? Because there's a big part about divine intervention and testing that happens in that. It's not just a dream sequence where Lauren Lavera's character Sienna wakes up. She's on the playpen. They're singing the whole clown cafe. Art's in there mowing people down with the Tommy gun. How'd that work out for you?
Dude, the bullets hitting the face, like, oh,
Mm.
come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man. That was awesome.
Marie, I think he was asking you, Marie.
Well. Again, and to me, I'm just like, here's another layer of the story. The clown cafe, is this an alternate dimension? Is this like the evil realm? Is this like,
Mhm.
and it's just, yeah, right. It's great that in the commentary he explains everything. Well, let's just have everything explained in the movie. Let's just show, or like, let's just. I don't know.
See,
It was too much. Like there's realms and there's entities and there's chosen ones and dads with powers and this
and
and a cool and a magic knife sword, and I'm just like, it's too much in one movie.
and,
It's
and
too
it's
long.
crazy because I feel like any other day I would agree with you because we like you said, like, why don't we get these answers? Why do they have to be explained? Because my biggest complaint with Jordan Peele's movies outside of Get Out is they're brilliant, but like it, like, especially for us, like I had to read like a breakdown article of what a lot of things meant, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking brilliant. But when I watched the movie, I was like, I don't like this. But I feel like, and I'm like, why do I got to read something to realize what things are? But for me, for Terrifier 2, it's not like that. So I don't know. Like, I
Yeah.
agree with you on, like, because I've been in your shoes to where with his movies. But for some reason, I just don't feel that way with this one.
I love movies that don't explain everything for you. Maybe because this movie was almost, what, 2.5 hours, and they were able to pack in so much. To me, it never felt too long or too much. I was able to be invested to we even talk about the opening. I love the opening of this movie with the coroner, and he's just getting mutilated. His face gets ripped in half. He puts the eyeball, he's messing with him, and then Art's walking down the alley like Rebirth, got that cool blue smoke and the lighting. Love the opening. Um, where was I? Lost my train of thought before the opening. I don't know. I really don't remember.
No, I think we were talking about like a lot,
Yeah.
Oh,
like
about
explaining a
how
lot. Yeah.
Leaving up to interpretation
right,
and
right.
stuff.
I love movies like that. And I don't need everything explained. For me, that's just me though.
I do too, and that's why I'm like the movie The Lighthouse. I was like, "Oh, I think maybe this and that," and I like having my own little theory. But I feel like that's such a some movies that do that. It's like you're focusing. There's one thing they're giving you is the whole movie. You're like, what is the point of this whole movie? This was like so many things plopped into it, and it's just like you got to figure out all these things. Like, why
Yeah.
is she here? Why is this here? Why is this? Why is this?
Mhm.
I felt like it was overloaded with it, and it was at that point. It's like you gotta give me something. Answer at least one of these mysteries, because I don't
Yeah.
want to wait until the next movie to know exactly why she's the chosen one, why the pale girl's here, why they're all connected, why they all have the glowing yellow eyes, why the dad was like whatever he was, why the sword is magic, why it's bringing her to life, why is there all these questions for this one slasher movie where in the first one we didn't need to know shit. And then now it's like, no, we're going to make you philosophize over it, several things in this movie. And it's like, it's too big of a contrast to me. It was like, I went to Terrifier 1. I got what I wanted out of that. And I'm like, okay, cool. I like that. And then here's Terrifier 2. And I was just like, okay, this is like a totally different realm of movie. And it's like, it didn't feel connected to me. It didn't feel like they were connected almost. Because it's like now Art the Clown's all these other things with all these other factors. And now he has a half that's like the good. I don't know. I was just like, okay, it's too much. Like,
See,
give me one thing.
I feel like one of my positives on my notes was it feels connected because of the way 1 and 2 work, like how they pick up. I just felt like we just dove more into Art. Now I get it. There's a lot of unanswered questions. It reminds me of like Halloween, not like Halloween 1 and Halloween 2, like how it happens, like the continuation, how it just in sync with each other. Not comparing them. I'm just saying like that's kind of how this feels. Now, granted, to your point, there are a lot of unanswered questions, but I think I am on the same page of I don't mind waiting with Kevin. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily mind that. I think 3 will be big, and I don't know if it would live up. I'll be honest, as much as I love to, I don't know if it's going to live up to the hype, even though I'm very excited with the teaser that we got, because there are a lot of unanswered questions.
He said he's going to make it feel more like the first one. So more, I guess, smaller, grittier, which will be That'll be cool.
Well,
But
is that going to leave us with unanswered questions? That's the thing. You know what I mean?
I think he'll answer questions in the third one. I think the main question people had with the first one was, is art supernatural or not? And I think he answers that very much so in Terrifier 2. He's got the big supernatural element, the fantastical element, the brutality, torture porn. There's a lot going on in 2, but to me, I just ate it up.
Any final thoughts on Terrifier 2 before I ask y'all a question?
I just feel like if I get angry comments, it's going to be like, well, she just doesn't get it. It's like, no, like I get it. It's just and it is connected. The movies connect, but the vibe to me
I get what
was
you're
not
saying.
the
It's
same.
not the same.
Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that way for you. I get it.
Yeah, even aesthetically, like it felt ish the same. I would like to see something in between, or I would have liked to see this as the third installment. Like, give us like a stepping stone to this. Where you're giving us so much stuff. I think they could have had a middle one where you introduce one aspect, and then in the third one, let's do it, but like build more and flesh out one of the aspects of the movie. The final girl who's like the yin and yang, or the pale girl. Like, let's just pretend everyone's like an idiot watching this, like I was watching this one, and like just flesh out like one thing, and then I think I would have been more engrossed in the movie. I didn't feel immersed into it. I'm sorry, I didn't. And I wanted to so bad, and I just couldn't. And then some of the supernatural stuff was like really corny, and some of the script was like a middle schooler wrote it, and I was just like, I couldn't get in.
No.
What? You're the chosen one. Why? I don't know. I mean,
Why is anyone the chosen one, though? Why is Luke Skywalker the chosen one? Why is Neo?
Well, I don't know. But why even say you're the chosen one? Why? How does he know? Why say that? You're the only one that can defeat him. Why? I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I didn't like,
Kev, you have any final thoughts?
Not really. I just really tip my hat and respect the hell out of Damien Leone for breathing more life, fresh life into the horror genre. I can't imagine how challenging this has been to get off the ground, and he created such an iconic franchise character, final girl. So much kudos and respect to that guy, and I just hope his career flourishes because he deserves it. And yeah, these two movies are a lot of fun.
I agree. Now, before we get out of here, I want to ask y'all, Marie, did you see the teaser for Terrifier 3 yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm not going to, well, actually, I am going to kind of ruin it for you, but I need to know. Like, I need to know from both of you. Like, okay, so obviously Terrifier 2 did phenomenal. So the movie got picked up by a major production company, but they wanted Damien to tone down the violence in Terrifier 3, and he said no, and he's keeping it independent. So he's keeping it with him and independent. When the teaser came out, a lot of people he caught a lot of flack because it seems like in the opening scene, which I think the teasers for the opening scene, a kid gets killed by Art the Clown. So I wanted to ask you both, how do you feel about children in horror movies being killed that way?
Kill them all. No, I'm just kidding. Well, it's implied that he kills the child. We don't know.
It is. We don't know.
We don't know if it's a dream sequence. We don't know if it's some sort of weird dream sequence. Maybe that's Sienna as a kid, the little girl Sienna. We don't know. I don't know how to answer that without sounding just messed up. I mean, I've seen kids get killed in movies a lot. What do I want to see a little girl get mutilated? No.
Yeah,
I don't want to see that. But if he does it, then we have to take it. He's going to do it. So
if he does it, he does it.
Yeah.
I just know there's so much backlash from that small teaser because that's what it kind of implies. I have
Yeah.
nephews and nieces, and even if I didn't, like, yeah, I don't want to see that. I'm not going into the movie like, yeah, let me see this little girl get killed. But I'm kind of like you. If it happens, it happens. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But I remember doing a watch along of The Quiet Place 2 or Quiet Place, the first Quiet Place, and the
Yeah.
kid gets killed in the beginning, and that was tough for my friend Sean to watch, but I didn't feel the same way. And I don't know if that's because he has kids and I don't. Like, I don't know. So Marie, I know you do have kids and you're a big horror fan. Do you feel like that would affect you in any type of way?
Um, let me say this. I remember before we had kids, we loved this horror. My husband and I love this horror movie called The Children. And it's like a British movie where these kids get infected with something. And I don't want to spoil it, but and we weren't affected by it at all. We were like, yeah, I love this movie, The Children. I could not watch it. I could not watch it now. I couldn't watch it. So there's a switch that goes off when you have kids. I don't know what it is. It makes you soft. And I don't like sometimes if a movie comes out, I will actually go Google, does a child, do they get killed? Because I will not watch something if it's a young child getting killed. There's like an age limit. There's like something where it's like, okay, if there's like a little bit of a teenage, like preteen. I don't know. I didn't see the trailer, but like Kevin said, it could have been like could be Sienna when she's young. You guys said it could be a dream sequence. Like who knows? That will change everything. But again, I personally can't. I don't want to watch that. But I don't know where he's gonna go. Like you say, everyone wants to see him, Art the Clown, do things bigger and grosser and more disturbing.
Yeah.
Where else can you go
That would
without it
be
getting like sexual or something? Like I don't know where he's gonna
yeah.
take it.
And that would be a big risk for him. Like I would hate to
Yeah.
be in his shoes. I mean, obviously he knows the answer because he wrote it and I have a feeling, like you said, Kev, they've already filmed it. So he knows. But do you take that risk? Because you're gonna get backlash, or if you don't take that risk, like how do you go bigger? I don't know. That's one way to go bigger. So I don't know. Like I really don't know. I could definitely, now that you mention it, seeing it being like a dream sequence, like Sienna's having a nightmare or something like that. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I wanted to get y'all's opinion on that because I know everybody's different and it affects everybody differently. I don't think anybody goes into a movie like, wow, I want to see a kid get killed. But
especially in that way, the way art does it, because
Yeah.
it's gonna be excessive. It's gonna be nasty.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why 1990 affected me so hard was when little Georgie gets killed.
Yeah.
But it serves the story, and you don't really see it. It's just
Yeah, you don't
you,
see
you
the kill. Yeah.
yeah, you don't see it, but you hear what happened, and that
Mhm.
is horrific enough. And so I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna do.
Me neither. All right, guys, we did it. Hour and a half. It was a hell of a podcast. I had a blast. Marie, you went off. I absolutely loved the fire and the passion.
I feel
like
bad. I feel
he
guilty.
still has more things to shoot off.
I don't have more. It's just I legit feel terrible about not liking it because I don't like disliking horror movies, and
Well,
especially
yeah, I
this.
know.
Like I really like Art the Clown as a character, and I don't know what happened. I just didn't feel this movie. The Christmas one coming out, I would love to see it more contained. I can think of some creative kills to do during Christmas time that I think would be like awesome to see. But then I was thinking, well, there's got to be kids involved if it's like Christmas with all the presents. Like I don't know, but
Yeah.
I would like to see the Terrifier 3 a little bit scaled down in the sense where it feels more intimate. I feel more claustrophobic. I can feel Art focusing on just like one family or something, and then having like some little more of like explanation in a sense where it's like, oh damn, I'm like rooting for like this scene. I loved this girl taking her brother's voice. I'm like, have more of this. I like this. I like the two, and I like that. Have more of it. But more contained and personal. I want to feel more personal with it all.
I will say the ending where they're inside the Terrifier maze, whatever, it did start to feel a little like the end of Rob Zombie's Halloween, where they keep going back into the Myers house. They keep getting the shit kicked out of them. It just keeps going. So that could have been trimmed a little bit for me, but I love like the scene where they go into this room and there's like creep show-esque dummies with masks. They're sitting in pews. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I like the atmosphere at the end of this movie.
It's good.
What would you give this out of 5, Marie?
Terrifier 2?
Mm-hmm.
Probably a 2, maybe. Like personal preference, a personal preference 2. That's probably what I give it. And I give Terrifier 1 a 3.5, just because of, to me, it felt so fresh when I first watched it. I was like, oh, this is something very different. And I really like this. And I like the introduction of this character, even though it wasn't introduced, even though Art Clown wasn't introduced in Terrifier, but still, to me, that was when I first saw him. It felt fresh. And this felt like it just felt a little too different for me.
Yeah.
I think, personally. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna get attacked. That's why I'm like, oh my god, please.
You're gonna be fine. All right, well, that's gonna wrap up episode 48 of the Take One podcast. Marie, Kevin, where can everybody find you at?
Nowhere.
What do they call the art's little house there? You can find me there. The little fun house thing.
Ooh,
What's it called?
The Terrifier.
The Terrifier.
No, but I mean like the show.
The Clown Cafe.
Yeah, you find me at the Clown Cafe with the shooting people in the face, eating cereal. I don't know. No, you can find me on my podcast, Marie Plays It All, and with Not a Strong Start on YouTube. And you can find me on Instagram at Marie Plays It All. And you can also follow my podcast peeps at Not a Strong Start on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Do we get a new episode this upcoming week?
I hope so. I was so sick and like I couldn't coordinate times with people because it was Thanksgiving for you guys. I'm like, there's no episode. Like I just couldn't do it. So I'm hoping there will be an episode this Thursday coming out. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but there's going to be one.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Kev?
Well, this was fun. This was fun to talk about and revisit these films. You can find me on Instagram at Watch Horror Films. YouTube, Kevin Ketchie. I just put out my Blair Witch Project filming locations, which took forever.
A fucking masterpiece, people. I'm telling you, it is that opening. The opening to the YouTube video gave me chills.
Thank you. I said that to Marie first. I'm like, does this sizzle reel work? She goes, ooh, I love sizzles. And
that shit worked.
She was nice about that. Thank you.
With like the news in the background, kids went missing, and then you see me and you pop out the car. I'm like, oh my god, let's go!
Awesome, man. Thank you. It's out in the world now, so it feels good to be done with that. So Kevin Ketchie, YouTube, and the Night of the Comments podcast, Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will see you next podcast. 2 episodes away from 50. I got to do something big for 50.
Ooh.
Do it.
Have like everybody on. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I have like 25 people on. All right, y'all. See y'all later.